Hello and welcome to the Federal podcast on India-Australia Test Series for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. I am Aprameya. The fourth and final test starts tomorrow, March 9 in Ahmedabad. India holds a 2-1 lead and needs a win to enter the final of the World Test Championship. To preview this game, senior cricket writer R Kaushik joins us from the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. Thanks, Kaushik, for talking to the Federal.
Hi, Apu. My pleasure again.
Kaushik, looking ahead to tomorrow's game, a big occasion because India and Australian Prime Ministers will be there for the opening day's proceedings. What is the news from both camps and the atmosphere in Ahmedabad for this big test, Kaushik?
There is a sense of excitement as much as anything else. Of course, the fact that the two dignitaries will be present on the opening morning adds greater drama and greater gravity to the situation, but also in terms of the stakes that are involved in this match. One, the fact is that India have a fantastic record at home. They only lost 2 test matches in the last 6 years. Last match in Indore was the second defeat since in the last 6 years. So India will feel that they have a point to prove. And more than anything else, a victory in this test match will guarantee them a place in the final of the World Test Championship, as you said. They can still lose this game and go on to the final. But like Rohit Sharma said and like Rahul Dravid said yesterday, they want to have their destiny in their own hands. So they will be keyed up to make sure that there is no repeat of what happened in the previous game in Indore. It's been a very funny sort of series because in a country like India, even the pitches on which we play cricket, test cricket, the way we've been playing test cricket for the last 3-4 years, the team that wins the toss is a huge factor. So a very, very crucial element of a test match in India. And interestingly enough, in all these 3 test matches, the team that won the toss lost the match. The team that batted first lost the match. And that doesn't happen very often in India. If it happens once, it's a bit of a rarity. If it happens 3 matches in a row, then I'm not even sure that's ever happened in the history of Test cricket in India. So from that point of view, it's been a slightly funny, tricky sort of series. I think here, from whatever we are gathering, from whatever little we've been able to see, because we are really far away from the playing surface, it looks, and Steve Smith was talking about it this afternoon and said that this looks, the day before the match, this looks the best of the 4 batting tracks that have been, best of the 4 tracks for batting that this series has thrown up. So hopefully we'll get a greater contest between the bat and the ball.
And what did Rohit Sharma say in the press conference, pre-match press conference? You could just throw light on his comments, Kaushik.
Yeah, it was an interesting press conference for a lot of reasons. Rohit is very open in a lot of things that he says. He doesn't mince words. You can see him thinking about the stuff that he wants to say, and when he wants to say it, then he commits himself to it. You can see he's very I won't say emotional, but he doesn't try to hide his emotions. And like for instance, we all know what happened in the aftermath of Indore, where some of the former cricketers had their piece to say about the Indian batting. And interestingly enough, the former head coach Ravi Shastri had spoken about complacency and overconfidence within the Indian ranks, and Rohit was asked specifically about Ravi Shastri's comment, and he called it rubbish, and as if that wasn't startling enough, and he went on to say that Ravi should have known better because he was part of the Indian team in the dressing room until not very long back, and Rohit said that he would like to use the word ruthless and not overconfident or complacent. He was obviously not very happy. He also said outsider. It's something that we have been used to hearing because they consider the media outsiders and they talk about the outside noise. And for him to use that in the context of the immediate former head coach was surprising, I would say, in a lot of ways. But again, like I said, Rohit is the kind of guy who wears his heart on his sleeve and he doesn't bear any malice. It's just something that he felt probably, and he said it. So I know that going forward this will probably make a lot of news because it is the kind of thing that will make people sit up and take notice. But I don't think there is any malice in what he said, but it's just the kind of person that Rohit is. I'm sure if Virat Kohli was a captain, he would have handled it differently. But again, I go back to the fact that there was no ill will. It is just something that Rohit said in a direct reaction to a comment that was made about his team and about the result in Indore.
And what is the likely playing 11 for India and Australia? As we know, Pat Cummins has not come back, and Steve Smith will lead again.
Yeah, I suspect Australia will go with the same 11 because Steve Smith was asked today whether there was a possibility of an additional seam resource, and he spoke about how you need to pick a team for both the innings of the test match, and that the faster bowlers might have a greater role in the first innings of the test match. But as the match progresses and we get to the third and the fourth innings, the spinners will come into picture more than the faster bowlers. So, and the fact that they have Cameron Green available for selection from the last match onwards lends a great deal of balance to the Australian attack because of his medium pace. So I don't see any changes as far as Australia is concerned. India, well, interesting. They rested Mohammad Shami for the last game. They brought in Umesh Yadav. He had a fabulous spell of reverse swing with the older ball in the first innings, 3 wickets in no time. Umesh is not here currently, but he is expected to join the team later in the day. So there is a very good possibility that Shami will come back into the side. And it could be at the expense of either Umesh or Siraj. I suspect if Umesh is back and available, then it could be that Siraj will have to make way for Shami. But other than that, I don't see any other changes. Yesterday at the press conference, I did ask Rahul Dravid if there is a possibility of an extra batsman playing in the 11 in place of a second seamer, because in the 3 test matches so far, the second seamer Siraj has only bowled 24 overs in 3 matches. And Rahul spoke about how these conditions are a bit different from Indore, and therefore that the faster bowlers might have a greater say. He said we like the balance where we have 2 seamers and we have 3 very good spinners who are also excellent batters. Therefore, it lengthens and adds depth to the batting lineup. So I don't think the combination will change. At best, we would see a change in personnel with Shami coming back in, possibly at the expense of Siraj.
And one more thing I wanted to ask was regarding Rahul Dravid's press conference yesterday. He was asked about the spin conditions in the throughout the series, and what were his comments and his defense for this kind of turning tracks prepared for the series?
Yeah, he referenced the World Test Championship as being one of the reasons for the kind of pitches that we are beginning to see around the world. Dravid, as well as Rohit Sharma, have been at pains throughout the series to point out that these kind of pitches are not on offer only in India. And perhaps it's a different kind of a challenge in India where spin is more prominent and more predominant, whereas you go to Australia or England or New Zealand or South Africa, and obviously their strength is faster bowling, so they have pitches which support their bowlers. And Dravid's contention was that the World Test Championship puts a lot of premium on points, and that you get 12 points for a win and you get 4 points for a draw, which means there's a huge pressure on teams to win at home. And therefore, when you want to win at home, you play in conditions that you think are best suited for you to win the matches. So he says the entire team understands the fact that we want to qualify for the final. Therefore, they are willing to play on these pitches, which essentially means that they are willing to be less selfish, that they don't mind not having their averages whittled down a little bit, the batsmen, if it means that you get a chance to play the final of the World Test Championship and aspire to become the World Test Champion. So it's a trade-off in a way, because what is it that you think is the best condition for you, best situation, best kind of pitches for you to win as a team, and that need not always help you score 150 as an individual. If you look at this series from an Indian point of view, there's been only 1 century from Rohit Sharma, and from the entire both the sides put together have only been 7 half centuries. So which means that in 3 test matches, if those are the returns, then you know that these are pitches that have been specifically made to help India's spin trio. And it worked in the first 2 games. It didn't work. It spectacularly backfired in the last match. But again, the World Test Championship is the reference point for most teams. And therefore, when they play at home, they try their level best to make sure that they can pick up as many points as are on offer at home, and then take a punt at what happens overseas. So it is something that we will probably see going forward as well if the system exists as it does now. And therefore, what will happen is that some of the best batsmen in the world might struggle to score runs in difficult conditions. But also the counter to that is that some not very good bowlers, I don't mean this with any disrespect to anyone, but some not very good bowlers might pick up a bunch of wickets simply because the conditions are favorable to their craft.
Right. One last question. We have seen last 3 test matches getting over in 3 days itself. So any change in script this time around? Looking at the wicket, Steve Smith has already mentioned that this looks like a different wicket.
Yeah, I mean, unless the first ball is bowled, we will not know, or unless we have let's say an hour's cricket, we won't know exactly how the pitch is going to behave. We can discuss it all if we want, watching it from a distance and listening to the guys who are going to be playing talk. But the point is that unless there is some amount of cricket, we will not know how it behaves. And unless both the teams bat at least once, then you will not be able to say for sure whether it's a good pitch or whether it's not a good pitch or whatever. But early indications at this point in time, about 15, 14, 16 hours away from the test match, is that this will be good for batting. Tomorrow, the first day will probably be the best day for batting. And then progressively it will get a little more difficult. The ball will turn. But all other things being equal, this will not be a 150 all-out pitch on the first day. I do not think this game will end in 3 days. I mean, it's a speculation at this point in time, of course, but I suspect we will have at least play on the fourth day.
Thanks for your wonderful thoughts, Kaushik. We'll reconnect tomorrow.
Thanks, Apu. Take care, and let's hope we have one good day's cricket to start with, and we'll take it forward from there.
Right.